Greetings everyone, and I hope you're all doing well out there. Welcome back to the channel for another 1/6 scale statue unboxing and review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Trick or Treat Studio 1/6 scale take on Frankenstein, as played by Boris Karloff in the 1931 James Whale directed classic horror movie of the same name. The review will take the usual format. We'll have a quick look at the box, then we'll be diving down onto the table to have a look at all the accessories that you get with this statue. Then it'll be out with the unholy creation himself for a close-up look before we wrap the whole thing up with the usual showcase at the end, as always. Just before we get into the box, I would like to say a huge thank you to everyone who's subscribed to the channel for your support. The response we've had has been amazing and much appreciated. And as I've mentioned in previous reviews, when we hit 1,000 subscribers, we'll be having a 6 scale figure giveaway to celebrate. So if you haven't already, please mash that bell notification icon and subscribe button so you don't miss anything, as we have a lot more great stuff just around the corner. So a bit of background on this one. As viewers to my channel will know, I am a huge horror fan, and none more so than the classic Universal Monsters. So if you haven't seen the 1931 classic that is Frankenstein, I order you to do so immediately. I'm not going to do a mini review as I sometimes do with these, a mini film review, because really I don't think it's necessary. But if you are amongst those very few people who haven't seen it, seek it out immediately. So onto the box itself, and a big box it is too, very imposing. What you've got here is relatively simple on the front. You've got a shot of the statue itself. It says 15-inch collector statue at the bottom. There's the Trick or Treats logo. Across the top, Frankenstein and Universal Monsters. This is an officially licensed product. We'll bring it round on the side here, if we can get this into shot. Once again, another picture of the statue itself, and the same information repeated. Bring it round again. Once again, you've got another shot of the statue and the same information. I'm not going to tip this thing forward because it is one monster of a box, pun intended. But take my word for it, what you've got on the top there and on the bottom are Universal Monsters and Frankenstein printed on both the top and the bottom. We'll bring it round to the back so you can take a look at the back here. Now you've got, on the back here, you've got a blurb there about the character itself, the movie. If you're wanting to pause it and read that, feel free to do so. But once again, Frankenstein across the top, another shot of the statue itself, Trick or Treat Studios there, and down at the bottom here we've got the credits, and it's sculpted by one William, I believe it's pronounced Paquette. If I'm butchering that name, I do apologise. But yeah, that's the guy who is behind the sculpt. And on the bottom, you've got the usual warnings. As I say, I'm not going to lift this figure up in as it's brand new in this statue. It's just gone in front of the camera, so it's still in the box itself. But yeah, on the bottom there, you've got the usual warnings. Don't piss this statue off, or it might throw you into a lake to see if you'll float. So yeah, that's the box itself. Very, very nice it is too. Relatively straightforward, but quite impressive in its simplicity, and it does capture that sort of that feel of the Universal Monsters and the 30s horror films. So yeah, that's the box itself. So without further ado, let's crack those seals open. Let's break the big guy out, dive down onto the table, and have a look at everything that he comes with. Okay, so a slight alteration to the usual format. On opening the box, the only two things that aren't already on the statue are the two head sculpts, the interchangeable head sculpts. So what we're going to do is, while we're down on the table, because we have to alter the lighting to get the best out of the head sculpts and accessories when we're down on the table, and then alter it again, obviously, for the figure of the statue itself, is I thought we'd take a close-up look at these head sculpts before we put the whole thing together. There are two head sculpts with this. They're both magnetically attached to the statue itself. We'll have a look at this one first. Now, I'll say from the get-go here, I was a little bit concerned when I saw some of the reviews and some of the pictures of this actual head sculpt of both of them, that maybe they'd gone a little bit over the top with the sort of mummified dead flesh effect on the head sculpts themselves. I revisited the film, having seen it numerous times, but I thought I'd go back and have another look. And some of my fears have been allayed. They have. Although it does appear smoother in the film, these actually don't look as rugged, shall we say, in hand. But let's take a look at this one first. Now, this head sculpt never actually appeared in the film. Now, this one was, I mean, the makeup artist himself was a guy called Jack Pierce, who was pretty much the go-to guy for the Universal Monsters makeup. He did Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Wolfman. He became known as the man of 1,000 monsters as far as makeup goes in Hollywood of that time. And this one was his test makeup for Karloff. And it never found its way onto the big screen, although it did get used in test reels. So let's have a close-up look at this. I'll try and get it into camera as much as possible, so pick out these details. We're using a new lighting rig here, and hopefully it's doing this head sculpt justice. So the paint applications straight away are very, very nice. It comes, I mean, I don't know if the light's picking this up, but it's sort of halfway between a green and a grey. It's leaning more towards the grey, which I think actually looks more screen accurate. But yeah, the sculpt is really, really nice. It's unmistakably Karloff as Frankenstein, or rather, should I say, Frankenstein's monster. As we all know, his name wasn't Frankenstein, but that's enough of that one. It's got the flat head, obviously. The hair is sculpted really, really nicely. There are individual strands in there. It is that black that we come to associate with Karloff as the monster. The way it's sculpted and the way it falls around the forehead and around the neck area are all screen accurate. As I say, the skin has this wonderful sort of almost, I won't say rotting, but dead look about it, dead pallor about it. The eyes are well sculpted. There are dark areas under the eyes, which once again are screen accurate. These two clips in this area of the forehead have got some blood effect where they joined in. The silver paintwork is really, really nice. And yeah, these are the parts of the test makeup that didn't actually make their way into the final product. But yeah, there's veining in there. There's veining in the neck. Obviously, you've got the bolts in the neck. Now, I believe there was a slight change to those bolts in the neck between the test makeup and the screen makeup. But yeah, overall, I'm more impressed than I expected to be with this. I had a few reservations, as I say, when I first saw it, but in hand, yeah, I'm liking this a lot. And I think as a representation of Karloff as Frankenstein, it is very, very good indeed. The lines, there are splits in the skin. It looks like it's flaking in areas. Just a very, very good sculpt all around. Let's take a look at the other one. Now, this is the one that we probably more easily recognise as Karloff's monster. Those pins are gone. What you do have in the place of that is this sort of metal clip in the hairline. Once again, there is, get this camera to focus, there is actually sort of blood effect paint around there. Slightly different to the other head sculpt in there appears to be some redness around the mouth, which isn't present in the other head sculpt. You've also got this scar across the head sculpted in with once again with that red blood effect paint. The bolts in the neck have got some reddening around them, but yeah, it's the same quality of sculpt, the same expression. Unmistakably Karloff. You've got those veins in there. There are creases in the neck, creases around the cheeks. The cheeks look sunken as they did with the creature on film, and the fact that these eyes aren't glassy, I actually quite like. They've gone for a dull effect in the eyes, which actually befits the character really, really well. May not be 100% screen accurate, but I think it actually sort of captures the essence in sculpted form far better than if they'd gone with the glassy eyes. So props there to Trick or Treat Studios. And you also have this scar on the neck as well, once again with the same bloodied paint there. So yeah, those are your two head sculpts. Very similar but very different at the same time. Side by side, you can see those subtle differences. I think I'll try and get my fingers out of out of the way here, but yeah, there's that reddening on the mouth on the left one. The eyes aren't quite as dark. The grey black effect underneath the eyes on the test makeup sculpt on the right. There's slightly, and I don't know whether this is my imagination, but I'm thinking there's slightly more colour to the one on the left-hand side. So yeah, there are subtle differences there. It's not just a straight copy, which is nice to see. So those are your two head sculpts, and very impressive they are too. And I know it's a cliche, but these most certainly are better in hand than I think they are in some of the photographs that I've seen. So yeah, suitably impressed. Props to Trick or Treat Studios on this one. So that's the head sculpt. So let's bring the big guy out himself, get him onto the turntable and see how these head sculpts look on the figure itself. Okay, so here he is. It's Boris Karloff as Frankenstein's monster from Trick or Treat Studios onto the turntable. First impressions. I'm pretty impressed, I have to say. Like I said before, I had some reservations. There were two main ones. The first one was with the head sculpts themselves, which we discussed when we were looking at them, which have been allayed. The fears on that one have been allayed. The second one I had was with the proportions of this particular statue. I felt in certain pictures he looked too slim. And now I don't know whether that's just me, but in hand, in front of me, those issues have been allayed as well. It actually looks perfectly proportioned to me. I think it may very well be down to the pose that the sculptor went for, but which I really do like, but we'll get into that. Yeah, these proportions actually look very, very accurate to me. I thought he looked too slim. He wasn't bulky enough. I think there are some misconceptions, preconceptions about Karloff's size, and a lot of 6 scale, quarter scale statues and figures that I've seen of Frankenstein have tended to go for an overly bulky look. Which is how a lot of people remember it, but it isn't actually screen accurate. And what I'm seeing here are the correct proportions. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. Please, if yours is different, let me know down in the comment section below. But yeah, we'll do what we always do, is we'll start at the bottom and work our way up. So let's stop him spinning first. Now this may, because of the sheer size of this guy, I might have to take him off the turntable so we can get in. We can get in close with some of those details that we've got here, but we'll do a quick once over with him at this distance. We'll start with this base. Now it's all polystone, as you'd expect from a 6 scale statue. This base is very, very simple, a very straightforward stone effect floor, but just very well done. There's some nice detailing on there. The weathering on here is very, very nice indeed. There are greys, there are sort of greens, almost like a weathered moss effect on here. We'll bring it round. Yeah, there's dry brushing on here to pick out to give it that stone effect. There are chips, there's weathering. It's very simple, but very, very effective. There's only one thing on this other than the statue itself, and we'll come to that. But yeah, there are chips out of the corners, as I said. The paint applications in those chips is very, very nice. And there's a lot of dry brushing on there to give it that weathered effect. And a really nice touch here is it's signed by the sculptor himself, Mr. Paquette, and there's a date on there as well, which is really, really nice to see. Gives it that personalised touch, which is we don't see very often in 6 scale statues. So yeah, that's the base itself. Very simple, very effective. On the base, you've got this half skull. Now, this is sculpted polystone again. As I say, it's all polystone here. The paint washes on there are really, really nice. The sculpture's really nice. You've got browns. You've got dry brushing in the eye sockets, the nose, and around the teeth to give it that depth and that sense of realism. Just very, very well sculpted. So let's start with the big guy himself. We'll start with the feet. Now, Karloff wasn't the shortest guy in the world. He was quite a tall chap, but to make him even more impressive, they gave him the now famous boots, the stacked boots. These are screen accurate. They're very large. The weathering on here is the first thing that strikes me. It's really, really well done. There's a lot of dry brushing on here, not too much, but just enough to give it that worn effect. The whole body itself, the suit rather, is painted black, which is obviously screen accurate, but it has been weathered. There are creases in there that fall and look accurate. Just a very, very nice sculpt on the trousers and on the jacket itself. Obviously too short in the arm as it was on film. There's weathering on the knees here. Let's bring it around the back. That weathering's continued on the back, up the legs as well, just all over really, in the shoulders of the jacket. The creases in the jacket look suitably authentic. There's more weathering leaning towards the end of the trousers, the end of the pants and the end of the jacket, which is nice, and on those areas of wear, like the elbows, for example, and on the knees of the pants themselves. As far as I can tell, I think this is all screen accurate. You've got a black shirt underneath a black jacket, black trousers. Very simple outfit. It's just an undersized suit that he wore. But yeah, very, very well sculpted. Weathering is nice. Paint applications are excellent. In actual fact, I am growing to like this. I mean, obviously, I purchased this and I wanted it in my collection. But I'm actually getting to like it even more now I've got it in front of me. Let's take a look at these hands and these arms. I think they've done a particularly good job here, but before we do that, let's just talk about this pose for a second. Now, they've gone for a sort of... there's movement there, let's put it that way. You can tell that he's moving forwards. There's no stepping. Both his feet are planted firmly on the floor, but there's a slight stoop in the shoulders, which... and the arms are obviously not perfectly aligned, which gives it that sense of motion, but there's not too much motion there. I do like the pose that they've gone for here. It gives a shambling effect without actually too much sort of animation in the legs. You're getting a sense of movement, but not too much, and it really has captured that feel of how Karloff would shamble and walk clumsily as the monster. And I think they picked a very, very good pose to go for. I think it could be tempting for a sculptor to do this guy completely upright with arms outstretched in the cliched pose. But instead they've gone for something a little bit more subtle and a little bit more... Well, it captures more of the character for me. And there was something I didn't mention actually when we were talking about the head sculpts. And it strikes me even more now I'm seeing the head sculpt on the statue itself. There is, I might be being overly romantic here, but there is an air of sadness about this sculpt, and there's an air of sadness about the character as well. He is a quasi-tragic character. He didn't choose to be this way. He didn't pick to be brought back to life, and his story is a tragic one, and that air is caught in this sculpt. I am growing to like this more and more by the minute. But yeah, let's take a look at these arms. Actually, what I'll do is I'll lift him off the turntable. Let's pray I don't drop him. I want to get these hands into shot if possible. Now, the sculpting on these hands is really, really nice. The skin is the same high quality of paint application and texture as the head sculpts. But what you've got here are veins and bone work. The flesh is sunken. What I really am liking is the ends of the fingers are black, like they're either dirty or more dead than the rest of him. There's a scar in the wrist area there. The veins run up the arm. There's some nice bloody paint applications there. I'm hoping this head sculpt doesn't fall off while I'm doing this. Let's just rest him here. Let's actually move the turntable out of the way so we can get him closer into camera. This other arm here, once again, you've got that wonderful veining, the darkening on the ends of the fingers. There are lumps and bumps in here that make it look disfigured. And then you've got this metal clasp that holds this part of the arm on. There's a metal band around the wrist, and then this almost crucifix-headed strip of metal that runs down his forearm with that blooded paint application around the edges there, which are 100% screen accurate. What else to say about this guy? I mean, you can swap these heads out. I've currently got the classic movie look, but obviously if you're wanting to put the test makeup head on, that's there as an option. And one thing I have noticed, and I don't know whether this is intentional, I don't think it is, but the way this head is positioned in this particular pose, and the way the head attaches actually allows for a little bit of movement. So if you're wanting to alter the angle of that head, have him looking more sideways, that's an option as well. I don't think that's an intentional thing, but it's it's just good to see. So it gives you some almost posing options for a statue, which is something that we don't see. So that's sculpt number 2, the test makeup sculpt. And I do think has a slightly different atmosphere about it, a slightly different air to it. But there you have it. We'll pop him back on the turntable and get him spinning again. So, opinions. Well, this is something that doesn't often happen for me. When I have serious reservations, a lot of the time they're borne out. But actually having this thing in front of me, as I say, having it in hand, I'm very, very pleased with it. I really, really like it. I think it's a fantastic addition to the collection. It is a very, very good rendition of Karloff as the monster. I'm a score out of 10. Tough one, that. I'm going to have to go with, and this is probably going to go up as my time spent with this statue increases, but I'm going to go with an 8. I'd sort of subconsciously already started scoring it before I'd even got it out of the box, and I was thinking maybe a 6, maybe a 7, but no, it's gone up to an 8. It might even go up higher as the days pass by, but yeah, there you have it. That's the Trick or Treat Studios take on Boris Karloff from Frankenstein, and I have to say, I really, really like it. Now I just need to find out where the hell I'm going to put it, because this guy ain't going to fit in the D12. He's got some heft to him, and he's very, very tall, but once again, that's screen accurate. So I hope you've enjoyed this review. I hope it's been useful for you. Are you thinking of getting this? Is it something you've already got? Please pop a comment in the comment section below. I'd be fascinated to hear your take on this. I suppose all it remains for me to say, before we go, and before we zip over to the mini showcase, just as usual, a quick roundup of what's coming in over the next week, next days and weeks. Coming in shortly, we have got the Legendary Merchant, aka Tom Hardy from Taboo in 6 scale. We've got Caustic Plastics Horror of Dracula, whenever they're released, the double pack of Leon Cushing. What else have we got coming in? Obviously, the In Art Batman, whenever that's released, fingers crossed that will be sometime before Christmas. Clint Eastwood, Sideshow Collectibles, Dirty Harry, that's due in. What else? Oh, crikey. The Furion, aka Riddick, that one's due in. Redmond Dracula Blue, Redmond Toys Dracula Blue, aka Gary Oldman, from Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. We have got, there's lots. I'll stop there, or we'll be here all night. But yeah, as you can probably tell, there's a lot of stuff coming in. New stuff coming in. We've got a lot of retro reviews coming in. We'll be mixing and matching scales. You've got quarter scales, 6 scale, action figures, statues. A hell of a lot of stuff. So please hit that bell notification icon, hit that subscribe button, and a massive thank you to everybody who has already done so. So from me, from Boris Karloff and the monster that is Frankenstein, all it remains for me to say is take care of yourselves, happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.